Linett, this is a real privilege here to share, for you to find the time to share one of your pieces with me. And you've chosen a piece which is very wittily titled Resilience Transforming Teachers and School Leavers Mental Health Provision. Transforming Teachers and School Leavers Mental Health Provision. Yeah. There's a lot in there, But before we get into that, you know, this is your Cali
graffiti,
so,
and I call it freestyle Cali graffiti.
Freestyle?
Freestyle, because I grew up in the 1970s. I was a teenager in the 80s when hip-hop culture first came to the United Kingdom, and where I lived, I was right at the centre of it. And freestyle for me, I did DJing as well, but it's about mixing things up in your own way. So it's kind of merging the art of beautiful handwriting with graffiti, Cali graffiti.
Just tell me, so you get a groove and then you extemporize and
improvise,
yeah. Is there some music behind this? Some music?
It's interesting that you say that.
What kind of music would you play? Give me some names. Give me some names.
I paint with Linkin Park. I paint
Linkin
with
Park.
Grimies, everything.
Isn't that a place in America?
It's a rock group.
It's a rock group. Linkin Park.
It's a mixture. I have hip hop, I have instrumental, deep beats, whatever. But I paint with a mixture of music and influences.
When you say the handwriting is a key part, and the thing I love about it, because sometimes you can understand what's going on, sometimes you can't. That kind of in and out. And I got to say, sort of at the centre of this is several. I've got to ask others before we get down to the detail. Empty bag can't stand up.
Right, yeah. So my heritage is Jamaican, even though my mother came to England when she was a teenager, so she doesn't have the kind of, I guess, stereotypical Jamaican accents that people might imagine. My mother would speak the Queen's English.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I have been very fascinated by the patois and so on. So empty bag can't stand up is like a saying.
Oh, it's a Jamaican expression. Okay, so I'm showing my ignorance now. So you have to help me. Empty bag. What's a reference here?
Of that is that, you know, if you aren't filled up within, you can't go out there and do that big job. So
something
as a teacher,
inside.
I think it's important.
Something inside.
Yeah, so there's this talk, going back to the title, there's an expectation that teachers will be able to, you know, nurture the next generation and so on. That's
I can see where this is going. And sometimes the bag gets empty.
Empty, exactly. And if you're empty...
Wow, that's the mental health.
That's right, that's hence the mental health.
Tell us a little bit about, because there's some heavy stuff on the edge of this page. You shared with me, which I found a bit...
Okay, so what I said briefly before, my background, as you know, an art teacher, became a head teacher and an educator.
But art teachers don't become head teachers, you know?
Well, that's what that says, right? Art teachers don't become head teachers. That was said to me earlier on in my career, and it crushed me. Wow. And I kind of set about over the next 20-odd years proving that individual wrong. And there was this silly thing that actually in the English education system, art teachers never became school leaders. And you know, in a way, they were right. It was the stereotypical thing.
Because the art teacher was always that edge, liminal,
messy, out there, whatever.
Into hip hop.
You know, and our rooms were supposed to always be messy. Yeah. Again, ridiculous. I've only met one other head teacher who came from an arts background other than myself, that being said. So I guess what's in here was what I experienced. You know, I became a school leader who would turn around those tough, challenging schools. I trained up a lot of school leaders. I've been ahead. I've shut down a school. I've opened up a school.
Shut down a school?
Yeah, unfortunately.
That must be a very dreadful.
It was dreadful. Yeah. It was very, you know, what happened.
Was that because of Ofsted?
Plays a part as well. That whole thing around the judgment, which is why I've got Ofsted written there. In education, Ofsted, who are like the inspectors of schools in England, they are seen. I mean, what people don't realise is when they come in with their clipboard over those couple of days or however long it is. Yeah. A lot of staff go off sick afterwards, people are stressed out, people lose their jobs. This is what happened to me. I was head at a time of a school and we were working around time, really hard to turn things around in a short space of time. And unfortunately, when we got that phone call, you know, that was it. We didn't get that great judgment, so to speak.
You're going to be closed?
It's not, things will, it will change things. So schools get, you know, if your school is considered to not be performing as outstanding or good, they expect things to happen, and that often means a change of leadership and so on, despite, so all of that, the stress of it. And it's well documented, so I put that in there as well, the frustration of how can you possibly sum up, you know, all the wonderful work that's going on in that school with literally one line. One word.
So when you say it's well documented, are you saying the frustrations,
amongst the profession,
and the consequences of it,
and
the mental consequences of it? This is what we're seeing here.
It wasn't at the time. When I made this piece in 2018, there wasn't that conversation there wasn't that conversation around, stress for staff and what was the impact of this environment for the educators.
So it was more about the children.
So the title's taken from the government paper, which came out, which I was grateful for. But at least we're now starting to have this conversation, because I certainly had seen and dealt with the pressures and the challenges that young people were experiencing. This high testing culture, this emphasis on grades all the time, competition between all of that. What does that do to the learning environment? And as a creative and as an artist, my subject, the creative subjects kind of got pushed to the side, and it's always now seen about maths and English and the sciences. I think everything should be holistic and integrated, and I think that arts are very powerful. So for me, stepping away, making that decision 3 years ago, by that time I was running 5 schools as an executive, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back to my love of art. I'm going to go back in and start making art again. I'd stopped making art. And I thought, actually, I've got a story to tell as well. 23 odd years worth of storytelling of what I was experiencing. And so this section here was around, the impact it had on my mental health. Yeah.
So was that almost like a cathartic experience, moving out of the teaching and going out of the classroom into your own the artist studio and doing your thing?
It wipes years off me, literally. I was on the underground once, there's this woman staring at me. I smiled back and I thought, she said, "This is impossible. You look like the woman who used to be my deputy head, but 10 years younger."
Really?
And I was like,
So this is art.
This is a couple years ago.
Make you younger.
I believe so. I think art is amazing. Art's my medicine right now, and so this is what it's showing. Actually, moving away from, I experienced depression at the time and so on, and I use my art. It's wonderful. It's working really well for me. And so I want to share that with others.
So you're here in Lambeth Hall.
Yeah.
Is that like
Lambeth Town Hall.
Lambeth Town Hall. And this is to celebrate Olive Morris, yeah?
Right, yeah.
Now, was this work done before the residency or after?
This was done before. So this painting's part of 2 paintings. So there's the other one on the other side, which was originally shown at the 198 Gallery, which is on Railton Road, where Olive Morris, the activist, used to live and squat. And I wanted to imagine if Olive was still here today, because sadly she passed away in 1979. I thought, if Olive was with us today, what would she have to say? She was so passionate about
I've got
young
to
people.
think about Olive Morris. She was born the same year as myself.
Oh, wow.
And she died so young.
Yeah.
27, come on.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
But had achieved so much as well. And that's why, to this day in this borough of Lambeth, there was a building named after her, there was a park named after her, but over time these things change, and I wanted to keep
the memory
alive, and so I
forget,
contacted those who work with keeping her legacy going. And when I was approached by the town hall, I said, that's fine, I'd loved it to be done in this way, and that's why I did my research, looked at the archives as well, and that's why it's called My Heart Will Always Be in Brixton, hence why this piece kind of continued.
Just to finish off, just go back to the lead in your title. You talk about resilience.
Yeah.
This picture's about the resilience in this painting. Is it the fact that you're still here?
Yeah, I feel I'm still...
In spite of all...
Despite what I've been through, and not just still here, not just surviving, but thriving. The art's done that. I've been able to express myself. That's why I was saying about these pieces. I don't know how they're going to end up when I make them. There's a lot of emotion behind it. There was a lot of tears going on when I've done this piece. You can probably see the energy. But the resilience that, one, I feel I needed as a teacher. I think to work in education you need it. But I just think as being a human being, right, just surviving this thing called life, we need to be resilient,
Look, I'm going to call you Olive then. I'm going to call you Olive. Linett has been brilliant. Really, thank you for sharing that with us. They're really, really exciting and fresh and vibrant piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.